You're listening to That's What I Thought, a casual conversation about life, love, relationships, and the lessons we learn. Here are your hosts, Micah and Annette.
Hey, welcome back at last to That's What I Thought podcast.
Oh,
6 months later.
6 months later.
Lots of new things.
We said we would get to it. We did.
We did, yeah. Well, there's lots of things we're experimenting with now, so it's not without upgrade. And I feel like one of the things that I've been thinking about in the last 6 months is how sometimes some things have to take the back burner when other things become more important, and that's okay. Even though it breaks all the rules of podcasting marketing to not be consistent, but
I'd rather want to do it than do it because we feel like we have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mostly because we do it for fun, and it's just fun to talk to you.
Agreed.
Get to digest things. So we've been sitting and talking and thinking about like formatting and what we want things to look like going forward. And I'm excited about some of our ideas. I think we're going to be mixing up what things look like, what things sound like, some different varieties. I know last year, season one, maybe season 1 and 2. This is more of season 3 because we had a lot of episodes. Yeah. Because we started a year ago last Thanksgiving.
Well, that's when they came out. Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago? No,
that was last year. It was last year.
Okay. Yeah, and then we went through July. Yeah, and then we just took a pause.
It wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, that's weird. I think it was literally when we rolled out back. We're gonna come out every 2 weeks, and then it's been 6 months.
Because our last one was in July. I double checked when our last podcast came out.
Yeah, but that's when we rolled out. Like, hey, we're gonna do this every 2 weeks, and then we didn't have one come out 2 weeks later or 2 months later or.
I don't know.
We had a lot of
play back the tape.
We had a lot of life things happening. It's fine.
So now we're working on some video options here, which is fun. Starting to dive into YouTube and what that looks like.
Yeah, this one may or may not be on YouTube.
Upgraded our system. Have some cool lights courtesy of my grandpa.
Oh yeah.
And a whole new studio because we're in a whole new house now, babe.
Oh yeah, new house. Who dis?
So let's lay it out for the people. So
July. First, I want to talk about our cups here.
Oh, okay.
Because I've got this
special choice.
Yeah, we got this sweet new Jurassic World Dino. What is this thing called? Mr. DNA mug, and it's pretty sweet with my mango peach tea.
I love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Rep your tea. Mm-hmm. Today I'm drinking out of the Indiana Starbucks cup, courtesy of my friend Tim Rowland.
Is that the? I thought I got you your new one.
No, that's my Illinois one.
Oh.
But we live in Indiana.
Wait, you didn't have an Illinois? You just got the Illinois one?
That's correct. Yeah, my sister got it for me for Christmas. She works at Starbucks.
Yeah, that's crazy because you were raised.
I know. Illinois. Well, then I feel like it's more excusable because you collect the ones. It's the Where Have You Been series. So
where
like
you at?
The places you visited. I feel like you pick them up more than your hometown. I guess you're right. I need to represent Illinois, land of Lincoln,
land of Lincoln and Chicago.
Chicago.
And that's about it.
And so I'm drinking chamomile because we're recording a little later at night and I'm not trying to get crazy, just relaxing. Just here to have a nice casual chat with the husband.
What time is it? 9?
So we are now at this point in time, we are a year and a half plus into our marriage.
Yep.
Wowza.
Wow.
Because that's what I thought is about love, life, and relationships. And what we learn along the way. We've been in a year and a half of learning now, plus coming up on 2 in May. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's actually closer than it's 4 months now.
Is it?
Just about, yeah.
Well, May is the 5th month. So 5 months.
What?
May's the 5th month.
What's 4? April?
Yeah. Did you forget one? That's okay.
Yes, I did.
My birthday's in May, so I remember what month it is. Other than that, I don't know.
Oh man, it's like 5.
What number I'm on?
Yeah, I thought we were a month ahead.
But it's
that's like when
May. Our anniversary is the 8th, so it's like basically April.
It's true. It's like when you think it's Friday, but then you found out it's actually Thursday, and you're like, so a whole nother day.
I've done that so many times and with like completed wholeheartedly in it. Like I'm like ready for my plans for Friday. I'm like
calling my friends.
Ready to have the next day off. I will like say it over and over again, and people will be like, no, it's Thursday. And I like still can't like fathom that that's true. I keep saying Friday. I realize, I feel like maybe my brain on COVID. That's why I feel like I'm losing my memory. Like I'm losing my mind. I used to like never forget anything. And now I'm just aging out. I guess
you're just old. I don't think it's COVID. Just getting senile already.
Well, my brain's probably done developing at this point.
Young,
so.
beautiful, and senile. It's my hat.
Young, beautiful, and forgetful, sweet little thing.
She tries.
Can't handle it. So I was posting the other day on my Instagram story a picture of us from 2019 and a picture from this year, December. And I wrote on that picture some stats about our last 2 years. So in 2 years,
emphasis on some.
Huh?
Emphasis on.
Oh yeah, it was just a couple. Well, some of our stats are they're private stats.
Just for us.
Those are the private, not for everyone. But in 2 years, we got married. We got engaged because we got engaged in January. We got engaged. We got married in COVID. So pandemic, add that in there. And then we had one dog before we got another dog in September.
Yep. We had my family dog, and then we got our own dog as well. So we have 2 dogs.
And then we had 2 houses. So we moved in September, the last day of September this year. So hence our new location, hence some of the pause in our podcasting, because buying a house is a lot of work if you don't do it all the time, especially in a crazy market. So we were prepping our house to sell. We were looking at places to buy. Moving in has been a whole long process, as I guess everybody knew that it was, and I just refuse to accept that reality. But I think I feel like now personally that I'm starting to get my footing under me with the new house. Like I'm feeling like more like I'm happy with where we're at. I just have some things to do, some things to clean and get in place in order. And I feel like new houses and just our new life, the theme of the year is all about, finding the new systems that work for us, the incremental changes that are going to be healthy for us. Because some of that started with our marriage, and we worked on that a little bit. And relationally, we grew a lot there in the first year. And then now it's like more like life things and learning how to do that together. Like I'm trying to think of how to shop for us, especially because we know now we have new dietary restrictions because we have sensitivities to things. But I have to
find that out this year too.
Not only have to buy things for me, like I have to buy them for you, and what do we both like? And then our dog's been sick all year, so figuring out how to take care of him. And then okay, how do you keep the new house clean? How do you figure out what you need and don't need? And so all of those things has just been a big process. But I got sidetracked. I was in that list.
On top of jobs, did you already say that one?
No, jobs between us. I said 7 in the post, and then I thought about it. And if we count the seasonal work, which for me, was like a month.
Add that. It was like 2 months.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But I mean, that makes it 8. Between us, we both had 4 jobs in the past 2 years. Which is just so
Isn't that
much.
fun to think about?
Exhausting.
Some of which were at the same time. So we both have been at some point had 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm. Which it's just been a lot of emotional work. Yeah. I mean, and I think it kind of still is in discovering God's plans for us, but I'm feeling like at least now we're in a place where we have better mental health, and we're leaning into more of the Holy Spirit and what He has for us, and trusting Him. And I feel like, for me personally, I just feel like I've been working on feeling more content, on living with less, and having that discipline and rejoicing in that. I think in this season, which we can talk about more, but I think I've just found a lot of freedom in my limitations, and recognizing I'm not going to be everything to everyone. And I have a limited body. I think finding out the food sensitivities and not remembering things, those kind of help remind me that, I am limited to my body, and that's not a bad thing. it's okay that I'm human, and like to pretend that I'm not just like hurts me. And so like in that I can have freedom to lean into God and be like, okay, like I can't, like I've hit my boundary and I'm done. Christine Kane, whom I love, she just has been the person I needed to speak to my soul in this season. She says all the time, she's like, I always remember that God doesn't sleep. And so when I'm stressed, when there's a lot going on and it comes bedtime, I'm just like, Nick, tell the devil that I'm going to sleep, because God and I need to rest and God doesn't have to. So I'm going to sleep and let God do the work, and he can take care of all the things. So obviously she says it a lot cooler than that because she's Australian and well-spoken, but
Said a couple more years talking.
But yeah, moral of the story, it's been a lot. And so that's where we've been at. Like Micah posted the other day where we've been overwhelmed. But
Yeah. But it's been nice though, is we feel like we're finally in a place where things are like, I was telling Annette this the other day and some friends, but it just felt like, especially at our old house, it's like something every like 2 weeks, maybe that long. Something would break, something would go wrong, whether it's the house, whether it's our relationship, whether it's our jobs that were super stressful or not fun. And so we were just always battling something. And so it feels like since we've moved out here, it's a lot quieter than where we were too. And it's a house that fits both of our needs, which has also been a really huge blessing. And jobs that we're both passionate about has been really big, because I was like deeply depressed and burnt out just because of my last job. And like it just had me in a really bad place spiritually, emotionally. Annette and I were getting into it a lot just because I just didn't care about anything. And so being out here has been really good for just my soul, our relationship, our relationship with God, most importantly, has been really good, especially for me. It's been really just had a really cool revival in my heart. And which is a huge blessing. I remember even like when it comes to jobs, like this job, like I was super burnt out going into this new job. And so I didn't want to do it. Like I knew it was better, but I was like, I'm really not that interested in like work at all, because I was so mad and hated working. Just as a person in general, still kind of feel that way, but specifically because I was so burnt out and I was like dreaded everything. So nothing was fun. I didn't enjoy hanging out with people. I didn't enjoy doing much other than sleeping and eating. So which got me into another very unhealthy place. So it's been really good these past couple months that we've been here, been able to finally feel like we can find some rhythms, and we're putting those into place, which has been really nice. The holidays always start everything off, so we're hopefully trying to get back into that. But like we just feel like we're finally at a place where we can set ourselves up for success, and we feel like obviously like God is a big part of that, and we're really grateful for that. And we're excited about trying new things and doing new things, and we're doing podcasts again, so that's really cool.
And I mean, going into the new year, I feel like this is a very relevant conversation, because I think we've been learning in the past, even just a couple months, like how important like incremental changes, like just taking baby steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like I think that the temptation is, like we make fun of every year, like New Year's resolutions, and like you're just going to jump in completely and go cold turkey, and like this is going to be your new lifestyle and it's going to be great. And sometimes that works, but more often than not, it's building a discipline, it's building a muscle. I mean, it's just like working out. It's not like one workout and you're super jacked
and you've lost 50 pounds.
It's much more of the like every day. It's the everyday 1%.
It's the 1%, like, every discipline of like, I'm gonna get out of bed at a good time today.
And then tomorrow maybe it's I'm gonna go to bed on time and get out of bed on time.
A good time. And then probably not even that day, the next day, it's probably like 2 weeks from now, it's I'm going to get out of bed on time and I'm going to go to bed on time. And then 3 weeks later, it's like, I'm going to get out of bed on time and I'm going to go to bed on time. But when I do wake up, I'm going to go for a walk and then, snowball that.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like it's it's learning what works for you and being open-handed with that to
Mhm.
change in the different seasons.
Yeah.
Like I love Jefferson and Elizabeth Key. Obviously, I talk about them a lot, but one of the things he talks about is like that rhythm principle, that it's not just like building routines, which is especially difficult for someone who's more spontaneous
Yeah.
or like extroverted like me, Micah, to stick to a regiment doesn't really suit our personalities very well. But he said it really well, I think, when he said like you have to think of it more in the sense of a dance. Like a dance looks different, like there's lots of different kinds of dances, the music is different, there's different types of dances, but like if you're off beat, you notice. Like if someone's off beat, you notice.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a mambo or a waltz, like you recognize that that person's off beat. But like in that, there's diversity and all these different things. But there's freedom in recognizing like I can implement these things and I can like grow this 1%. And it can be a dance that brings freedom instead of like a regiment that is constricting me.
Yep.
And I think that's something that God has been teaching me in this season. Maybe we just talked about it earlier. I don't think I've said it yet, but like that
There's the dementia.
there it
Or
is.
senile.
It's the forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness.
That we've been told we, like, as Americans especially, I think, should be limitless. And that's, I mean, it's good marketing. That's how they sell you things. It's like, hey, nothing should hold you back. Like you should be able to do everything and anything. And you're like, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I should. It's okay if I sit on the couch all day.
Anything that
Nobody
holds
can
me
stop.
back.
Yeah.
Anything that, isn't what I want to do. Like, you do you, boo, and like you can do whatever you want to do and be whatever you want to be.
Man, I hate it.
You want to be a basketball player and a gymnast and a Nobel Prize winner. You just do it. You
can do it.
But like there's this impression that it should just like happen for you, like it's just be handed to you. Mm-hmm. And also like that there's no limitations. Like I'm never gonna be a basketball player, like a pro basketball player. Yeah. I'm like 5'2" and I have limited athletic abilities. So like am I limited there? Yes, like absolutely. Like God has made us with personalities and giftings and limitations in our humanity, and this is like just something that I'm receiving from him, is like that can be frustrating to me because like I want to be all of the things and I want to be successful at all of the things, and recognizing like the limits there are not bad things. They keep me healthier. And then like the devil's advocate in my mind is like, well then like what does God get to be all the things? Like he gets to do all the things and like blah blah blah. And then well, first of all, there I just decided that I wanted to be God, which is like the original sin, right? Which is, I mean, the exact lie that Eve bought. It's that like he's holding out on me, like I should be able to do all these things, I'll find some sort of happiness on the end of these other things, just like the serpent was like, hey, like he's holding out on you, like there's knowledge of good and evil here and there's like life here, just eat the fruit and then you'll see like he can't be trusted and he's holding on it. Yeah, well, it's not that it's not like he's holding out on you because like there's some awesome thing that he's keeping a secret.
He's like, no.
Yeah, he's not like a malicious mean God. Like
no,
he's actually being very gracious to us in giving limitations and taking all of that burden on his shoulders instead of ours, to say like like knowing all of the things and like having all the things is too much for you. Like you weren't built to be God, and like that's a good thing. Like that should be a relief that like you can go to bed at night and be like, you know what, God, you take care of Satan, I'm gonna go to sleep. Like I can't fight anymore, you take care of it. And then knowing that like, yeah, he's capable of doing that, and that's okay and good. I think there's a lot of freedom then for me anyway, and learning in this season, like hey, maybe I'm not gonna get all the chores done today I thought I was gonna get done, but like God willing, I'll have a day tomorrow and I can work some more on things and I can incrementally grow that. And you know what, if I don't have a day tomorrow, then I'm not going to worry about it anymore because it's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, so point sleeping on things. Yeah, I get that. And one of the things really cool, even with like the story of when it comes to limitations and the story of Adam and Eve, of how like obviously he punished them for what they did because they disobeyed God. God's a just God. But not only that, but he kicked him out of the Garden of Eden, which was a lot of people think a lot of it is because of like punishment, and part of it is punishment because now they don't have access to all of that. But also he saves them from ever being tempted to eat from the tree of life, because now that they know all these horrible things, then if they had eaten the tree of life, then they would never die.
And then you could never be freed from
Yeah,
that sin.
you could never be freed from that sin. You can never be freed from the pain of this world that we all experience in some way or another. So I think that's just another way of like just these cool ways that God puts limitations on things, but it's not always a punishment. Well, sometimes it's a blessing because he's going to save you from something further down the road.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's that limitations are protection and they bring you more freedom. And I think I've said it on this podcast before, like that study that whatever Ivy League school it was, Princeton or Stanford or whatever, that was like studying kids at a playground, and they had one set of kids that they put in a playground with a fence around it, and they used all the space. They ran around the playground, did all the things. And then they put the kids in a space with no fence around it, and they all stayed huddled together. Like they didn't spread out and use any of the space. And so I always think about that story when I'm frustrated with my limitations. Or I mean, it's not even a story, it's just factual science. That like
yes, that nonfiction story.
That's terrible. No, it was a scientific study for all you Enlightenment thinkers. God's limitations on us aren't punishment. They're freedom so that we can feast in what we do have. And the more we like celebrate those limitations, I think the more we can feast. And I like see it in like little microcosms all the time of like even like a scarcity mentality, how a scarcity mentality makes you like want to take more and more and more and more. Whereas like if you're content with what you have, you
like
really
like toilet paper.
Oh yeah, like toilet paper. Yeah. If you're content with what you have, then like you realize you need less than you thought you did. And in the case of toilet paper, you can share. Like you can give more to your neighbor, you can be more generous because like your needs are satisfied and like you're gonna be okay. Like the scarcity is a non-issue.
Yeah. I don't need to clear a shelf.
Because
I've got 2 bags already at home.
Yeah.
For 2 people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what do you think about that, babe? What are the lessons that you've been thinking about in the past since July?
What type of lessons are you thinking?
Just what God's been teaching you.
God's been teaching me? Oh man, so many things. I think one of the things that Annette and I have talked about a lot is with my life is that I think God is preparing me / us for something, at least in my opinion, more significant than what I'm doing now, if that makes sense. Right. But I think what he's teaching me, that's not what I think he's teaching me. I think that's something he's showing me. But I think what he's teaching me is that like, that's a really cool thing I have in store later, but you got to, that's what I'm looking for.
Be
like
faithful.
bunker down. Yeah.
Do the work.
Do the work now, like where you're at. And so I remember there's this time where a big part of my job is like, I work with teens again, which has been a really huge, awesome thing because I love working with teenagers. But a big part of my job, supervisor role. So I oversee all of the club, which I love, or the teen aspect of the club. But I'm also a big part of my job is outreach, which I don't have a ton of experience with outreach as far as like recruitment, really. I've experienced with outreach, but not recruitment. And so that was something I kind of put on the back burner. Never really did anything with. And then I had like 2 meetings back to back set up where I was like, all that. Where we were talking about all of that. And I was like, oh, great. I don't really want to do this. Like, I know, like maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be. So then I was like, just at work, like Googling or probably not Googling, but like I was on Indeed, like looking at other jobs. And I was like, wow, I don't want to do any of these jobs that were like popping up. And so then I was like, you know what? And I've also been working on this thing because especially when I was burnt out, I had a really bad habit because I was mad at God at this point in my life. And so every time something frustrating would happen to me, I would just bring it to Annette. And that was pretty much the extent of it. So Annette was getting super burdened and burnt out on me and all of my burnt out stuff. So I told Annette that I would try my best to start bringing it to God first and then bringing it to Annette, which has been a really huge blessing for us because now like a lot of the times it's the buck stops at God, which is really where it should end. But there's some things where I'm like, hey, which is where the story is going. But like, there's like, hey, this is something that I see happening in my life and I've been praying about it. And like, what are your thoughts? And so in this specific example, I was in the middle of typing or, looking up different jobs. And I was like, I really don't want any of these jobs, but I also like, am stressed and anxious about this job that I have now. So I was like, oh, like, what do I do? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop. I'm going to pray real quick. And I was like, God, I really don't want to do this. But if this is where you want me, I'll do it. You just got to tell me. And then it was like instantaneously, I just had this feeling come over me where he's like, this is what I want you to do. And I was like, I remember feeling the relief of like having that answer given to me. So like even talking about like boundaries or limitations of like, now I know that like the other jobs aren't an option. This is the one. So there's that limitation, but there's also like, but now like I gotta do it, It's like I don't want to do it, but I guess I'm gonna do it. And so I went home and talked to Annette, and we were talking about how like I felt like this is what God was doing, and I don't really want it. But ultimately we knew like the outcome of that conversation was like God's doing something significant right now. So you got to put the work in, and it's just that idea of like all things that are worth doing or have lots of work to do. You know what I mean? So just that idea. And so that's been really, really cool for me to be able to have that with God, and just all of this past couple of months of just healing since I've been at this new job and in this new environment, new place. It's been really cool.
Okay, well, hey, that's it.
We did it.
First show of season 3.
First show of season 3. The last episode of 2021.
2021.
Yeah, try to sneak it out before the end of it, so that way we wouldn't actually, not have another episode for the rest of the year.
Just New Year's Day.
It's like, yeah, it's probably when it'll come out too.
11:59. It's 11:59.
I got some time this week. I can edit it out. It'll be fine.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is still like a really cool way for me to connect with people. I continue to have conversations with people about the podcast and just get to encourage people and connect with people I don't usually. So I love that this is an avenue we can have and talk through things and just share what God's doing and give him glory and think through stuff and just have a good time. Yeah. So welcome back to That's What I Thought. New things coming your way.
New things. Actually, that's even still been working on. You've been recording stuff for the podcast.
I have.
Haven't you? Shoot, man, this isn't the first time. First time I've been back, but all right, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Grace and peace.
Grace and peace.
Bye.